Google just folded local service ads into Performance Max. If you run LS ads, your campaigns are about to change automatically. Here's what to do before that happens. On July 20, 2026, Google officially announced that the standalone local services ads platform is retiring. Existing LSA campaigns will be converted into a specialized Performance Max campaign type with pay-per-lead goals managed inside the main Google Ads interface. The announcement was confirmed by Ginny Marvin, Google's Ads product liaison, and documented in Google's official Ads Help Center. Phase 1 begins in August 2026 for U.S. home and storefront service advertisers in 9 categories: plumbing, HVAC, electrical, appliance repair, house cleaning, lawn care, roofing, pest control, and moving. Late 2026 brings broader expansion. Non-U.S. accounts follow in 2027. Google will notify account admins 14 days before their specific migration date via email and a banner in the LSA dashboard, with a follow-up reminder 7 days out. On migration day, logging into the old dashboard redirects you to Google Ads. Here's the most important sentence in this entire video. Your historical LSA campaign-level performance reports will not migrate to Google Ads. Once your account moves, the old dashboard becomes inaccessible. Any data you didn't export before your migration date is gone permanently. That's the action this video is built around. Let's start there. Before we get to the action steps, let's be precise about what's actually changing and what isn't, because the announcement has caused some confusion that's worth clearing up. Here's what carries over without any action on your part. The pay-per-lead billing model. You still pay only for valid leads, phone calls, messages, and bookings, not for ad clicks. Ad placement. Your ads continue to appear exclusively on Google Search and Google Maps in the same positions as before. Despite the Performance Max name, these campaigns do not expand into Display, YouTube, Gmail, or the Google Display Network the way a standard Performance Max campaign would. Google's official documentation is explicit on this point. Your Google Guaranteed or Google Screened badge carries over. Lead history carries over. Keywordless service category targeting carries over. Here's what's gone. The standalone local services ads dashboard, gone permanently on your migration date. Manual bidding, gone, replaced by automated target CPA optimization. Weekly budget format, gone, replaced by daily budgets. Historical LSA performance reports, gone, unless you export them before migration. Here's what changes but doesn't disappear. Where you manage everything. It moves from the LSA dashboard to Google Ads. Where leads appear and how you respond to them, moves to the Google Ads interface. How budgets are structured, weekly becomes daily. How bidding works, manual becomes automated. Target CPA. The core of local services ads survives this migration. What changes is the platform, the bidding mechanism, and the reporting home. All 3 require specific preparation. Let's spend a full section on the data loss risk, because this is the part of the migration announcement that most advertisers are underreacting to. Google's Ads product liaison, Ginny Marvin, confirmed publicly that the historical LSA performance reports will not transfer. This isn't a technical limitation being worked on, it's a confirmed outcome of the migration. The old dashboard becomes inaccessible. The reports inside it become inaccessible. The data that represents your campaign's entire performance history, cost per lead over time, lead volume by service category, spend patterns, dispute history, does not move to Google Ads. The practical problem this creates. When your new PMax pay-per-lead campaign is running and your cost per lead looks different from what you expected, you'll want to compare against your historical baseline. If you didn't export that baseline before your migration date, you have no comparison point. The secondary problem. Setting a realistic target CPA in the new system requires knowing what your actual historical cost per lead was. If you don't have that data, you're guessing at a number that directly controls your campaign's bidding behavior. The action is simple. Don't wait for the 14-day migration notice. Log into your LSA dashboard right now. Export every available performance report, campaign-level data, lead data, budget history, and service area breakdown. Save them to Google Sheets or CSV. Do this today, regardless of whether you've received a migration notice. The 14-day window is not enough time if you're also trying to set up conversion tracking, calculate target CPA, and restructure multi-service campaigns simultaneously. The data export needs to happen now, separately, before anything else. With manual bidding gone, understanding how target CPA works in the new system determines whether your cost per lead stays predictable or becomes a variable you're reacting to after the fact. In the old LSA system, manual bidding meant you directly controlled the maximum amount you'd pay per lead. You could adjust it by service type, raise it during peak seasons, and lower it when lead quality dropped. It was hands-on but transparent. Target CPA in the PMax pay-per-lead system gives Google's algorithm a target cost per lead and allows it to bid dynamically to hit that target. You're still setting the number. The algorithm decides how to reach it. The difference is that you're managing the goal rather than the mechanism. The risk this creates for multi-service campaigns. If one campaign contains plumbing, HVAC, and electrical services, those three service types may have meaningfully different historical cost per lead numbers. A single target CPA for all three is a compromise. It's probably too high for one service and too low for another, which means the algorithm is simultaneously over- and underbidding depending on what leads are available. The cleaner solution is splitting multi-service campaigns into separate campaigns by service type, each with its own target CPA calculated from its specific historical CPL data. This is why the historical data export isn't just about record keeping. It's the input for a strategic campaign structure decision. Budget. Your weekly budget converts to a daily budget. The math is weekly budget divided by 7. But you should also add a buffer for the first 2 weeks after migration, when performance may be less predictable. Verify this calculation explicitly before your migration date, because an inadvertent budget change in the first week creates noise that makes it harder to assess whether the migration itself is performing correctly. More automation requires tighter guardrails. That's the operational principle this migration demands. The LSA platform had built-in mechanisms that functioned as lead quality filters: the dispute process, the verified badge requirements, and the platform's own lead screening. Moving into Google Ads doesn't mean those filters are gone, but it does mean you're now responsible for building explicit quality controls rather than relying on the LSA environment to handle them. 5 guardrails to establish before or immediately after migration. First, set target CPA from actual historical data, not estimates. A target CPA that's too high produces expensive leads. A target CPA that's too low either restricts volume or trains the algorithm on low-quality lead patterns. Use your exported LSA data to calculate a 90-day average CPL per service type. Second, convert budgets correctly and verify them explicitly. Weekly to daily is division by 7, and then double-check that the setting in Google Ads reflects your intention before the campaign goes live. Third, establish conversion tracking in Google Ads for phone calls and messages before your migration date. If Google Ads isn't tracking your leads independently of the LSA system, the algorithm has no conversion signal to optimize against after migration. Fourth, build a weekly lead review habit. In Google Ads, you can mark individual leads as invalid. That feedback directly informs the algorithm's optimization. Without consistent lead quality feedback, the algorithm lacks the signal it needs to improve lead quality over time. Fifth, Audit your Google business profile. LSA campaigns draw their targeting information from your business profile, service areas, service types, hours. Inaccuracies in the profile become inaccuracies in the campaign. Fix them before your migration date, not after. Here's the complete pre-migration checklist organized by urgency. Do this today, this week, regardless of whether you've received a migration notice. Export all historical LSA performance reports. Campaign-level data, lead volume, average CPL, budget history, service area breakdown. Save to Google Sheets. This takes 30 minutes and is the single most time-sensitive action in the entire migration. Document your average cost per lead by service type over the last 90 days. This number becomes your target CPA baseline. You cannot set a grounded target CPA without it. Review your Google business profile. Confirm service areas are accurate, service types are complete, hours are current. Errors here become campaign errors. Before your migration date, do the following. Set up conversion tracking in Google Ads for phone calls and messages if you haven't already. Decide whether to split multi-service campaigns into single-service campaigns with individual target CPA targets. Convert your weekly budget to a daily budget figure and verify it. Get familiar with the Google Ads lead management interface. This is where you'll manage leads after the dashboard retires. After migration, in the first 2 weeks. Monitor campaign performance daily. Expect volatility. Google's documentation notes that performance may take up to 2 weeks to fully stabilize after migration. Do not make major adjustments in the first week. That adjustment window creates noise that obscures whether the migration itself is running correctly. In week 2, begin marking invalid leads to feed quality signals back to the algorithm. In week 3, run a comparison of CPL against your pre-migration historical baseline. Earlier in this channel, we covered Performance Max in detail. It's worth being precise about which of those principles apply to LSAP Max and which don't, because there are important differences. From that video, the following applies directly. The algorithm requires time and conversion volume to optimize effectively. Setting target CPA is a critical input that the system uses as its primary optimization signal. Conversion tracking setup is non-negotiable. These carry over completely. What doesn't apply to LSAP Max? Asset groups with visual creative. LSAP Max doesn't use image or video assets the way standard PMax does. It draws on your business profile information. Network expansion concerns. Standard PMax risks spending budget across display, YouTube, and Gmail when you only wanted search traffic. LSAP Max is explicitly restricted to search and maps. The PMax network expansion that worried many advertisers in the standard campaign type is simply not a factor here. The core risk profile for LSAP Max is different from standard PMax. The standard PMax concern is network dilution, budget going to low-quality placements across a wide range of networks. The LSAP Max concern is cost per lead control and lead quality in the absence of manual bidding. SEMrush's local search analytics can help you understand the competitive landscape in your service category. Who else is appearing in paid positions for your service area keywords, which gives you context for calibrating your target CPA against what the auction is actually priced at. If the 14-day email just arrived, here's the exact action order. Days 1 and 2. Export everything immediately. This is the only irreversible deadline in the entire process. Historical reports, 90 days CPL by service type, budget performance data. Do not let anything else happen before this is done. Days 3 through 5. Set up or verify conversion tracking in Google Ads for phone calls and messages. Open the Google Ads interface and find where lead management will live post-migration. Get familiar with it now, not on migration day. Days 6 through 10. Make your campaign structure decision. If you run multiple service types in one campaign, decide whether to split them. Calculate your target CPA for each service type from the historical data you exported. Convert your weekly budget to a daily figure. If you're splitting campaigns, set the daily budgets for each. Days 11 through 13. Do a full review of your Google Business profile for accuracy. Brief anyone on your team who manages leads on where to find and respond to them in Google Ads after migration. Day 14, Migration Day. Don't make any changes. The campaign is moving. Let it land. Performance may be volatile. That's expected. Google's documentation explicitly notes up to 2 weeks of stabilization time after migration. Your job in the first week is observation, not optimization. Week 2 post-migration. Begin the lead quality feedback loop. Mark invalid leads in Google Ads consistently. Compare actual CPL against your pre-migration historical baseline. By week 3, you should have enough data to evaluate whether the target CPA needs adjustment. 3 things. These are the ones that determine whether this migration disrupts your lead flow or doesn't. Number 1. Export your historical LSA data today. Not when the notice arrives. Today. The standalone LSA dashboard retires permanently on your migration date. Historical performance reports do not transfer. The 14-day window isn't enough time to do the data export and everything else the migration requires. Export now. The data is also the foundation for every other decision in this list. Number 2. The placement and billing don't change. The control does. Ads still appear only on Google Search and Google Maps. You still pay per lead. Google Guaranteed badge carries over. What changes is that manual bidding is replaced by target CPA optimization. Weekly budgets become daily budgets, and you manage everything through Google Ads. More automation requires tighter guardrails, target CPA from real historical data, conversion tracking, and a weekly lead quality review process. Number 3. Phase 1 starts August 2026 for 9 U.S. home service categories: plumbing, HVAC, electrical, appliance repair, house cleaning, lawn care, roofing, pest control, and moving are in the first wave. If you're in one of these categories, your migration is coming in weeks, not months. The preparation timeline in this video assumes you're acting now, not after the notification arrives. The change is happening automatically. Your preparation determines whether it's disruptive or seamless. 2 things to do today before you close this video. First, open your LSA dashboard right now and start the export process. Don't wait. The step-by-step export guide is in the LSA to PMax migration checklist in the description. It walks through exactly which reports to download, what data to capture for your target CPA calculation, how to document your 90-day historical CPL by service type, and what to verify in your Google Business profile before your migration date. The checklist also includes a budget conversion calculator, weekly to daily with a buffer built in, a conversion tracking setup guide for Google Ads, and the post-migration monitoring protocol for weeks 1 and 2. For local keyword research, understanding what your potential customers are searching for in your service category, what competitors are bidding on, and where the paid search auction is priced, SEMrush's local keyword tools give you the context you need to set a target CPA that's competitive in your specific market. Link in the description. The official Google documentation is at support.google.com/google-ads/answer/172135585. That's the primary source for migration timeline updates as your account date approaches. Link also in the description. Export the data. Download the checklist. Set the target CPA before your campaign migrates automatically. This video is for educational purposes only. Google Ads product details and migration timelines may change. This is not professional advertising or legal advice. No affiliate links in this video beyond SEM Rush. All migration details sourced from Google's official help center.